Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Her Life and Death, book created by Charlotte. Early life. Elizabeth Alexandra Mary was born at 2:40 a.m. on the 21st of April 1926, 17 Bruton Street, Mayfair, London, England. Her father was called His Royal Highness Prince Albert Frederick Arthur George, Duke of York. Her mother was called Elizabeth Angela Margarita Bowes-Lyon, Duchess of York. Her sister was called Her Royal Highness Princess Margaret Rose of York. Interestingly enough, the young princess was never born to be the Queen of England. You see, all the way back in 1936, there were two brothers, who both had one sister and three other brothers. One of the two brothers was called His Royal Highness Prince David, Prince of Wales, and the other one was called His Royal Highness Prince Albert, Duke of York. As well as having the same amount of siblings, they both had a father, His Majesty King George V, and a mother, Her Majesty Queen Mary Queen Consort. Well, when His Majesty King George V died, it was time for His Royal Highness Prince David, Prince of Wales, to become king. But there was one slight problem. The former Prince of Wales, the new king, wanted to marry a two-time divorcee called Wallis Simpson. And as Monarch of England, you were also head of the Church of England, which permits a divorced person from marrying someone else as long as their previous partner is still alive. So in a nutshell, His Majesty King Edward VIII, previously known as His Royal Highness Prince David, Prince of Wales, gave up the British throne to marry Wallis Simpson, which left His Royal Highness Prince Albert, Duke of York, as head of state. Education. Her Royal Highness Princess Elizabeth of York was educated by a private tutor at her home, which was just like many girls with rather wealthy parents at that time. When her father succeeded the throne in 1936, she became an heir presumptive, which means first in line, and began to study constitutional history and law. Her Royal Highness received tuition from her father, as well as some lessons with Henry Martin, who was the Vice Provost of Eton College. Even the Archbishop of Canterbury taught her religion. The princess was taught French from a number of French and Belgian governesses. Her late Majesty used this skill during visits to the French-speaking parts of Canada and more French-speaking countries. Princess Elizabeth also studied art and music, learned to ride horses, and even became a strong swimmer. When Elizabeth turned 11, she enrolled as a Girl Guide, later becoming a Sea Ranger, and she managed to win the Children's Challenge Shield at London's Bath Club at the age of 13. In 1944, Windsor held a horse show called the Royal Windsor Horse Show. The princess competed in it, driving a Norwegian pony named Hans, and Her Royal Highness Princess Margaret of York as a passenger, and won the single private driving class. Husband. On the 20th of November 1947 at 10:30 a.m, Her Royal Highness Princess Elizabeth Alexandra Mary of York married Philip Mountbatten, Duke of Edinburgh. The ceremony was officiated by the Archbishop of Canterbury, who was called Geoffrey Fisher, and the Archbishop of York, who was called Cyril Garbett. There were 2,000 specially invited guests at Westminster Abbey. Before becoming His Royal Highness Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, he was known as Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark, but in 1947 renounced those titles. His Royal Highness was born on the Greek island of Corfu on the 10th of June 1921, which made him 5 years older than Her Majesty. Believe it or not, this was His Royal Highness Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Children. Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and His late Royal Highness Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, had 4 children together. They are His Majesty King Charles III, oldest, Her Royal Highness Princess Anne the Princess Royal, middle, Prince Andrew, Duke of York, middle, and His Royal Highness Prince Edward, Earl of Wessex, youngest. Charles Philip Arthur George was born at 9:14 p.m. on the 14th of November 1948. Buckingham Palace, London, England. Anne Elizabeth Alice Louise was born at 11:50 a.m. on the 15th of August 1950, Clarence House, London, England. Andrew Albert Christian Edward was born at 3:30 p.m. on the 19th of February 1960, Buckingham Palace, London, England. Edward Anthony Richard Louis was born at 8:20 p.m. on the 10th of March 1964, Buckingham Palace, London, England. Achievements. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II achieved lots of things. Here they are. 1. She was the longest-serving monarch in the United Kingdom's history, beating her great-great-grandmother, Her Majesty Queen Victoria, by almost 6 years. 2. She was the second longest reigning monarch in the world, being beaten by King Louis the 14th, if I'm correct, of France, who ascended the throne when he was just 4. 3. She was the only British monarch to reach all of her jubilees. They are silver, 25 years on the throne, 1977, golden, 50 years on the throne, 2002, diamond, 60 years on the throne, 2012, and platinum, 70 years on the throne, 2022. 4. She was married to His late Royal Highness Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, for over 70 years. 5. She became the first monarch to address a joint session of the United States Congress. 6. She contributed to more than 600 British organisations. These achievements were typed out in the November of 2022. Things may have changed. Death. On Thursday, the 8th of September 2022, shock, tragedy and sadness hit Great Britain and Northern Ireland and, quite frankly, the rest of the world. Queen Elizabeth II, Britain's longest-serving monarch, had died. At 6:30 p.m, longtime BBC anchor Hugh Edwards revealed. A few minutes ago, Buckingham Palace announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. The palace has just issued this statement. It says, "The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow." BBC Television is broadcasting this special programme reporting the death of Her Majesty the Queen. Her funeral took place at Westminster Abbey on Monday the 19th of September 2022. This was made a bank holiday for England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. However, the procession began at Westminster Hall, which is a giant hall built in 1097 under King William II. It is just across the road from Westminster Abbey and the Houses of Parliament, and was heading towards Westminster Abbey. Then, from Westminster Abbey, the procession moved past Buckingham Palace and Hyde Park, finishing at Wellington Arch. Her Majesty was then put in a car and soldiers carried on walking, but exceptions were made for the royal family, who followed in cars to Windsor Castle. At St George's Chapel, which is a chapel just stone's throw away from Windsor Castle, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II was buried next to her father, King George VI, her sister, Princess Margaret, Countess of Snowdon, her mother, Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother, and her husband, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. The BBC then showed the two images below and, in the background, played England's national anthem, which was God Save the Queen, and now is God Save the King. A special thanks to and for all making this book possible. The end. Thanks for reading.